We've retained highly competent, well-known environmental lawyers in Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida who have represented similar situations with respect to pesticides and chemical contamination of shrimp and estuaries. So we put together a good team to handle this case for our clients. The clients want to know what happened. They want their own independent lawyers to find out what happened. And the government needs to be concerned and mostly focused on preventing damage. They shouldn't be spending a lot of time pointing fingers at each other in Washington. That's what the courthouse is for, and that's where we plan to go.
I'm George Barisic. I'm a third-generation Croatian commercial fisherman who lives in St. Bernard, and I actually fish out of St. Bernard. Val has been gracious enough to work with United Commercial Fishermen Association over the last 10 years. And when we first saw this coming, it wasn't that bad. And then we saw the volume of it, and I said, well, we're getting ready to lose everything. And today we was at meetings in St. Bernard Parish. St. Bernard and east part of Plaquemines is the bullseye right now. And just as we predicted, when the wind turned around to the southeast, we were going to get it. And I've been meetings all morning, so we employ these people to protect our interests. Because we don't get much help. Historically, we didn't get much for Katrina. We didn't get much help, and we take the beating. We're going to take the first beating here when it comes in. And when it comes in, and depending on how much damage it does, we're going to take a beating for years. Case in point is the Valdez. Okay, that's minimal compared to what's happening here. And our major problem is right now it's not stopping. And they don't know when it's going to stop.
We are going to be almost like the poster child for what can happen when something goes wrong, and it's terrifying. It's really, I hope people see the human and environmental and economic cost that when something like this happens. And I know that's what this team will help us find out. And we thank you, everybody there. Thank you.
What is particularly threatening for us, we had a shrimp industry was in trouble before because of imports. Hurricane came. We were down to 18% of our fleet. So we're up to about 23% before, and that's all we got left. And oyster season was terrible. Last year the shrimp prices dropped so low, most of us quit because we couldn't afford it. This year here we busted our butts. We got the shrimp prices up 100% higher than last year, and now you're getting ready to knock out 60 to 80% of my shrimp production. That's it.
Well, I think the fact of the matter is that can't be overemphasized, right? You're talking about hard-working people. When George talks about being a third-generation Croatian fisherman, you're talking about thousands of hard-working men and women in southeast Louisiana who are absolutely dependent upon the estuaries here, the shrimp, the oysters, our seafood industry, to put food on their table, to take care of their families. And because of, apparently, the actions of BP, Transocean, or others, they're looking at their entire livelihood being wiped out for some extended period of time. I don't think that could be under, or rather overestimated.
But what a lot of people don't also realize is the ripple effect. When I can't go out, I don't buy any fuel. I don't buy any groceries. I can't hire anybody. Okay? And I can't pay my house note, can't pay my car note. So you know what the state of the country is in now. You take people who work all the time, who drug themselves up from disaster, back to work, back to economic impact. Just look at it. When I'm gone, what's going to happen? So as the shrimp industry dies, you watch coastal parishes fold, you know. So now you're going to watch whichever coastal parish gets hit, it's going to fold quicker. So we're going to need some help to stay alive. But then you turn around and get another cold front because you had a very, very weird year this year. You get cold fronts, we just had one. And the wind turned back around and starts dispersing it. If it hits the other side of the mouth of the river, you got an east and west tide. It's going to take it on the west side of the river, which we're hoping doesn't get impacted. Because then some of us can go fish over there, but the problem is if all of us go fish over there, you're going to cut that pie in half. It's any kind of way, it just has a negative impact. Any way you look at it, you know. So we're hoping to get some help, hoping to have somebody like these people here protect our interests.
Anybody economically impacted by this will be able to file a claim, and also people whose property becomes contaminated will be able to file a claim. Under the law that existed at the time of the Valdez, how far you could go down that chain was limited by certain historic case law or under maritime law. Like, for instance, the people that supplied fuel, the people that supplied ice, they would not get claims. Under the new law, they would, because post-Valdez, they passed this Oil Pollution Control Act, and it basically is requiring them to compensate all of the people that have commercial economic interests associated with, that are impacted by the oil spill. So it's important to know that at Valdez, if this thing keeps leaking, you know, Valdez, the area, Prince William Sound, while beautiful, was not occupied that much. It was, I mean, unfortunately, I can't try to minimize that, but the fact is, this is highly occupied, dense area, a lot of different property interests involved. If it starts heading down the coast towards Florida, the economic damage is going to be massive. Nobody's going to go to Destin or Pensacola if there's oil on the beaches. That's just not going to happen.
We live with all rigs, okay? It's been since I've been a kid, I've been seeing them. I've seen them multiply. But the ones way offshore, you don't see how big, you don't know how big they are until something like this happens. You know, you always had that potential, but we never had, in my mind, a 42-inch pipe blowing and going with oil. That's the concern. The volume is the concern. You know, so if everybody pulls together, but we just had a meeting in St. Bernard, and from what I'm hearing, they don't have enough boom material around the world to contain this thing. Not around the country now. They pulled everything. We can't get anything. St. Bernard Parish cannot buy anything right now, you know, in this country. And we're trying to, you know, move a little further out. But as it expands, they don't have enough equipment. You know, so even if we do put up, we're trying to put a 3-line defense, you know, one offshore, one by Bretton Island, and one right off the coastline. Even if we do that and contain some of it, there's going to be so much more coming. It's a nightmare. I'm scared to death.
George, I agree. It is a nightmare, and I think it's a nightmare we never thought we'd see in our lifetime, that's for sure. We thought the hurricanes, you know, Katrina and Rita and Gustav and Ike, et cetera, and they salt on the coast and was as bad as it was going to get. And now this, I mean, it's frightening. And we do have the Louisiana Bayou Keeper, family fisherman, et cetera, who's part of our organization. So they're right down there every day, you know, telling us, you know, what's going on and how afraid they are, George, just like you, about what's going to happen.